guess we'll start with last first, because it seems like you ought to have Paxton up here.
Well, Paxton was here last night, and he missed the finale tonight. But have some close-in information right there. Locker mates.
He's talking about the information he gave you and what you like about DeMarvion.
Actually, he had talked about him at length before he had his visit here, and had mentioned him from time to time in the past, just in the way he would say it. He said, whether it's practicing or playing, he's just all over the place. He's everywhere. And just somebody, was locker mate, so brother type feeling about him.
Straight to the Longhorns.
And family.
Yes, exactly.
He talked about a lot about Paxton. Now Paxton, told him how he really gave him a recommendation to you guys. So it's just natural for us to go there first.
Well, I had to. There was no other player. Paxton was locker mate. No, but seriously, for me, it really was a personal thrill to just think about how close in that was and how ironic we'd be sitting here using the third pick in the draft for a guy that's got that kind of relationship. But it was great. But the good news was he had already told me he was just outstanding in every way as a human being.
Just watching the video, you guys were seeming very happy with the pick, and just talk about where you guys were and why you were so excited in that room.
Well, it was. We were just really, you have ideas about where you want to be and maybe what we need and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, to have a player like that with the kind of grade and overall, we're talking about Paxton and I are talking. This guy was everybody in the scouting, and Will and certainly the coach, coaches. But frankly, he was a blue chip player person to be there for us, and certainly fits. And coach will talk about that. Will, you want to say something? Please do.
No, just as we, when you talk about looking for a player, you talk about the linebacker position and what it takes to play linebacker in our defense. And in the NFL now, you got to cover running backs, you got to cover tight ends. You got to be able to blitz, and you've got to play all over the field. You play with two linebackers a lot now with the sub defenses, and so they got to do a number of different things. And then you also got to contribute on fourth down and love to play the game. You watch this dude play, you turn on the tape, it shows that he loves to play the game of football.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. It looked like John Foster was also excited to have him around. Can he also, I'm assuming he can also contribute on special teams. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I love it when people ask questions they already know the answers to. Hell yeah, we're excited about him on special teams. I mean, just to reiterate what Jerry and Will said, this is an excellent pick for us. It's a great fit. Frankly, we were just kind of holding our breath to make sure he stayed up there. So excellent pick. I think he's a great fit. The physical characteristics everybody's already hit on, but his play style to me is, that's what you're looking for as a coach. Donovan Wilson, that type of energy and impact, and we're really, really excited to have all these guys. But that in the third round, we felt that was big.
Well, does that last year kind of help him a little bit? Because you had that COVID year, so he has a fifth year. How much would that last year help him?
There's so many of these kids that have to develop. The COVID year, as we know, kind of set a lot of guys back. There were seasons they didn't have, they weren't able to practice and all that. So getting that extra year in, you got to get those extra reps in. You're able to gain that, like he was able to gain that weight. You go from safety, and then you start moving down, and you mature a little bit. And so, and getting those extra snaps just gave us an opportunity to see all the different things he could do.
Mike Todd, Archer of the ESPN. With the tight end, what was it about that drew you to him? Were you guys getting concerned that you were running out of guys that could be the inline guy as well as a guy who can put out in space?
Well, I think just like anything, I think this is, without being redundant, this is an excellent tight end class. We recognize it, but I think they all have specific skills that they bring to the table. And what I really liked about Luke is very, very well-rounded. We like everything about him with his physical traits, but he has the ability to play the wide position off the ball. He's done the insert schemes, is what we call them. Keeping the tackle on the ends and inserting on the linebackers. So he runs better than probably we give him credit for. So his vertical presence, we think we can really build off of that. So very, very well-rounded, and that's what you're looking for. So as a play caller and a game plan designer, these tight ends give you the chance to get in on different personnel groups and stay creative, be able to attack both in the one back, two back, and no back offense.
Does Schoonmaker have a chance to walk in as a starter, do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing when you talk about the tight end position, to define a starter. You know, I mean, is it 40-plus plays a game? Is it 30? You know, what? So I think, 17-game season. You know, it's all these guys in a tight end room are going to contribute. But I would definitely view him as a starter type as far as his impact. I think he'll clearly, be able to play. I know he will clearly play all four positions in the tight end area, on the line, off the ball, lead back, and displaced.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. What kind of upside do you see in his receiving game? Obviously, his advantages in the run blocking, but what do you see in his upside?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's got the vertical speed. I mean, he's played in a pro-style offense. You can see, his ability to run we call beeline post, the inside post, the seam routes. So he'll be. There's not going to be a whole lot that he hasn't done that we'll ask him to do.
Skyler's with the AP. Jerry, it's been a fairly quiet draft. There were a lot of trades today. You all didn't have any. And from our point of view, maybe not the flashiest picks. How do you feel about where you all are after 2 days and what you have?
I think we've the three players that we have chosen. We really they will play. They'll be actively playing. And that seems trite to say that, but we've got players here that fit in with where we need depth or where we need, in some cases, we need to have them out there. I think that Mozzie Smith played in average 60 plays a game. 40, 50 plays a game. So I look at plays, to answer your question. I see a lot of plays out of these three picks that we've made today. On the field a lot. I see them available. I see them, they've played big time places and big time situations. We ought to be able, we ought to be able to find a spot for them here. And that would be, from my perspective, my goal is to come out of here with guys that are on the field this year.
Well, did you guys just spend a lot of time in Ann Arbor?
No, we spent enough time in Ann Arbor. We spent a bunch of time watching the tape. Our scouts that go into that area, when they come, when an area scout goes into an area, they come back with passion about a player. They came back with passion about these players. You turn on the tape and you see why. An interesting one for me, and Mike will tell you, this was in December, watching some college tape, and I'm watching the tape, and I said, "This Mozzie Smith, boom," and that's where we started talking about that. And then you watch the tight end as you're going through all of them, and you see the ones that are rated higher or equal to, and then you compare this kid's physical tools, his production, his stats, and you say, at big time programs, they're ready to play NFL football, and they do a lot of things that we do in the NFL.
WC5 in Dallas. Will, you were talking about Overshown and safety at the beginning. I noticed his size is very similar to Jaron Kearse's. Is there an idea that maybe he could be someone who does a little bit of everything with the position versatility that comes with defense in the NFL now today?
Coach McCarthy talks about it all the time. It's doing two things. When you can find a player that can do 2 to 3 things at a very high level, it's attractive. And when you move down from safety, you're used to seeing the field a certain way. Then you get closer, you're able to use your speed, your athleticism, your matchup, and also on special teams. So we're definitely looking at all the different ways you can use a player, and the versatility is key.
I'll say this, you started the initial meetings we had with the draft when we had all the scouts here, right? I started those initial meetings, and you asked, you'd set it up and asked Dan to come in and give his thoughts about what that guy looks like right there. And he wasn't talking about a name. He was talking about how we can take a player and maybe project him over here for our defense and put him in. And we were sitting there looking at him tonight. You could have, in my mind, rolled back to the very first meeting we had this year, talking about how to, when can we project that type player for what he can do, and you're absolutely on it. The curse thing does come to your mind when you think of him.
Stephen, you said last night that you all went into that pick feeling like you had options. Similar feel today that as was it kind of laid out? Did you feel good about how things were, and how do you see things for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we felt really good as we moved through. And, you know, at the end of the day, the biggest thing of all, especially with the Overshown pick, is, you know, really having belief and confidence in your board and just saying, hey, this guy's up there and he's blinking, and he's a hell of a football player. Let's just take him. We're fortunate he's there, and let's jump all over it. And shoot, it was just, you know, that's how it fell. You know, when we picked Schoonmaker, it was obviously, I think we had several options there, but, you know, and we had a lot of discussion about 3 or 4, 5 players, and, you know, it just turned out he was the right fit for us, the right fit for what Mike wants to do with our offense this year, and, you know, it made a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, the hard work is what goes in, you know, from the time this draft's over to the next draft is all the work that goes into putting your board up. You got to have confidence in it, and you stick with it, and good things will happen.
There were a number of tight ends you liked. They started going off the board. How tough was it to stay patient, and where did Schoonmaker fit with those other guys?
Well, I just think we, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we weren't in any way panicked. There were still good tight ends left that we liked when we picked him. And so we were very comfortable. It wasn't, oh my gosh, we're not going to have a tight end to get it. It was just we liked him more than we did the tight ends that were left and our other options.
Mike, you said last night that as you looked back on the season, that run defense kind of stood out as something. Did you feel coming into this that there wasn't really any glaring need on this roster, that it was an opportunity to maybe kind of, you know, fill the way it's kind of gone so far?
Well, I'm still stuck on your, you know, you don't think our draft's very sexy. I think it's sexy as hell. I mean, we got six good players here. You just, you know, Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore, and Jonathan Hankins too. Want to add to this, but yeah, so what was your question again? I'm like I said,
That's 2 5s and a 6 on those 3 guys.
The roster you had coming in, did you feel like there was not really a glaring need anywhere, that this was an opportunity?
I was just messing with you, Spider. I'm good. I got the question. Yeah. No, I think clearly it's, yeah, we love our football team right now, and I think I've talked about this before. I think the biggest jump that you do make is from your younger players, and those guys are here right now. You know, I'm talking about the 2nd, 3rd, 4th year players, and this is now our 4th class. I mean, this is exciting. I know we got one more day left, but it's all about stacking success, whether it's player acquisition, whether it's teaching and growing as a football team. But yeah, I love our football team, and we're going to get better again tomorrow.
I will say this, there is a huge amount of mental gyrations going on and a lot of talk going on about what if this, what if that. Obviously, there is fat phones ringing in there and what have you. And tossing things out and trying to run it through the deal. And I've got about 1 finger left. I had 3 nubs eaten off each hand today. If that doesn't work, that doesn't work. So you're sitting in there. It's not that when you think about being patient or something like that, it's not that you're totally being patient. You're sitting there looking for ways to maybe try to get some value if it were there. And obviously you're looking at team needs, but that certainly has all been figured in, don't get me wrong. But then guess what? It isn't exactly like it was the day that you put the board up there, because there's about 30 players off of it. And so you need to be talking about if there's anything about it that's different that we could absolutely add value there. So I guess my point is that it really is a mental, very active time going on in there, and with a lot of ideas. And one thing that I'm proudest of is I don't believe anybody's hesitant to toss it out in there and try it on and chew it up a little bit, and then see where we are.
Mike, with your tight ends, do you view them all as similar trait-wise, or do they all do some different things that allow you to move them around or play it differently?
Yeah, I mean, just speaking on the tight end responsibility, as I've stated already, I look at it as, you know, there's 4 areas that they, you know, will distribute opportunities for them. And, you know, I think clearly, yeah. I mean, you look at how Jake, the opportunities he had last year, and, you know, and Peyton came in and did some excellent perimeter things, did some tough, hard-nosed things in some of the lead outside zone wrinkles that we had. So yeah, you want diversity in a tight end group. I mean, it's a long year. The ability to be in 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 1 tight end type personnel groups, and just really, get in and out of the concepts, because, I've always viewed offensive football clearly, and I know I've already said it, but I think it answers your question even more. I mean, you want to be able to play 2-back concepts where you're really stressing the defense with 7-gap runs, and also, have lead blocking components to it. Then you got your 1-back offense where you can be 6, 7, 8-gap run action and things come off of that, and you got the ability to go empty. So, tight ends are always, I've always felt between tight ends and linebacker body types, you can't have enough of them on your football team, because those are the guys that can play 4 downs. And I'm talking about outside linebacker types. I'm talking about inside linebacker types and tight ends.
Stephen, we've asked you about this several times in the past, but Michigan, Texas so far, you guys find yourself tilting more and more as time goes on to these sort of blue blood type programs and what they produce?
Well, I think especially early. You got guys who are proven. I mean, they're battle tested. If anything, the Power 5 are differentiating themselves more and more in terms of, how they recruit, and with all the changes in the transfer portals and, all the moving parts that go with that. I think, the guys who are starting smaller schools end up with the big schools, and, I just think they're battle tested. And whether it's the SEC, whether it's the Big Ten or the Pac-12 or the Pac-10, I mean, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, I think there's a, when you really look at it, you got to give them credit. Now, I think as you make your way through the draft, I mean, sure, we found a hell of a player in Bland, later in the draft. But, early on, these guys, it's hard not to be drawn to a lot of these guys. There's always going to be exceptions, but no question. I mean, you look at our draft, Michigan, Texas. Obviously, we're big fans of the SEC players and, how they're battle-tested when they come out. So, it's hard not to pay attention. I mean, Will can probably answer that better than I, but no question.
Yeah, I mean, we scout them all, but there is, when you get to see the best going against the best, you have an opportunity to see who they're going against, competition, all of that. So it makes your evaluation. You can look at and say, who are they playing against that are like NFL players? Because, you got to look and there's a comparable. What are we bringing them into? What we do in the college game, the kids from college, what we're doing is we're projecting. So in order to project, you got to see what they're going against. And so you get a little bit of that when you talk about the bigger schools. That's where the players in the NFL come from. But then we're also looking at the smaller school guys and the guys that do NFL things, regardless of what level they're playing at. And if it's the right value and they're a good player that fit our scheme, I don't think we say we're just picking big school players. That's not us. We want football players.
Jerry, you've been doing this for a while now. How would you describe this weekend? I mean, just in general, the NFL draft, I mean, the love for it and all of that. I mean, it's a lot happening in 3 days. How would you describe what this weekend entails for you all?
I'll start with my long-distance view of Kansas City. And when I was looking at the Kansas City celebration throughout the draft so far this weekend, I thought of, boy, what a wonderful opportunity that is. I know how hard Lamar, and I know he used to do caravans and go through Sedalia, Missouri, and go through all the towns in Missouri and do caravans to get them interested in the Chiefs and sell tickets. Well, here now with that viewership, and you could see if you will, the not only the thousands of people there, but those people probably were from all over the state of Kansas and state of Missouri and what have you. To sum it up, what a way to promote our game. What a way to promote football. When I first got involved with the Cowboys, I had a guy that I respected tremendously. That's why I was talking to him. And he said the difference, he said it's got a lot of great things about it, time of year it's placed, everything. But he said the number one thing is it's always on the mind, on the front of the mind. This was 1989. And said it's in season, out of season, almost during the game. There's always something going on about the NFL. It's constantly promoting itself. And it's not necessarily puff stuff either. It could be controversy, it could be things like that. Well, this draft and evolving it and having the team participation the way it is a wonderful promotion of our game, and lets us really help again sell it. And all weekend, I just couldn't believe it. I will reiterate, we're the first team to ever put a camera in the draft room. And so we really always believed it was interesting to somebody to see what goes on behind the scenes. And of course, it's come a long way where it is today. But I'd say generally, as far as NFL sport, just the fact that it's such a so visible and interesting. And I think I heard the commissioner, y'all straighten me up on that, but on the deal, but I think I heard him say the viewership was in the 20 millions. We saw in the paper that it was 10 or 12, but maybe you go into the, digital and over the top, all that kind of stuff, but that many millions of people. Well, boy, what a great thing to be able to have people, if it's just glancing at what we do in the NFL and what we do in football, what we do in sports. Everybody in this room now is here by choice. You've heard me say this 1,000 times. I'm with you. We're brothers and sisters because we're here because we want to be involved in sports. This is a great day for sports, promoting it up. And it's got the same kind of viewership as some of the World Series and some of the things like that go. So this is a triumph.
Jerry, do you look at any musts or that you have to fill in day 3, running back, kicker? How do you view your approach to day 3?
I already took our kicker. I'm kidding. No. A Michigan man.
Well, of course, we'll this day 3 is unbelievable. Not only the draft, but the free agency that's associated with it, and we'll come out of here with 30 players tomorrow night, counting the ones we draft. I'm talking about agents. Tomorrow, and free agents. We'll have 30 players tomorrow. 30 names will come here, and so we've had some success in coming up with some serious players out of that numbers of people. So tomorrow's huge.
Is that it? Good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.